motion to start the meeting?
I'll second it.
The meeting is starting. We'll call the meeting to order for the May 16th Planning Commission, Lathrup Village Planning Commission. We can have the roll call. Oh,
We can stand and do the pledge.
we
if
can
you
do this.
want.
I was going to say we can do the Pledge of Allegiance first.
All
It's-
right.
It's not here.
Pledge allegiance to the
flag
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we can have our roll call.
Roll call. Chairman Stansberry,
Here?
Secretary Fobbs, Commissioner Disick.
Here.
Commissioner Cantor.
Here.
Commissioner Powell.
Here.
Commissioner Tamarelli.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
We received notice from Commissioner
Bob's.
Fobbs and
Hammond.
Chair
Hammond.
Hammond. Yeah.
that they would not be here, so we'd like to have a motion that state that they are excused for not being at this evening's meeting.
I'll make a motion to excuse Commissioner Hammond and Commissioner Fobbs.
Second.
It's been moved to second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on. I will assume everyone has received from Susie a copy of the agenda packet, which has the meetings from the previous minutes from the previous meeting. Has everyone had the opportunity to review those meeting minutes?
Yes.
Any questions or corrections?
Just don't get ahead of yourself. We need to approve the agenda
I'm sorry.
first.
I'm just zooming along.
I know, I know.
But since I'm here,
Yeah.
no questions or concerns regarding the previous meeting's minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 18th, 2023.
We still need a motion to approve the agenda.
Oh,
Yeah, no, he was going on, it, so I'm gonna go back, so.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none. The agenda is approved. There is a motion still on the table regarding the minutes of the previous meeting. It wasn't second.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none. The minutes are approved of the previous meeting. We are at our public comment section. This is public comment for the agenda.
Correct.
So if there's anyone that's in attendance that has any comment regarding the agenda, we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes.
I think we're good.
Seeing none, we will move on to old business and table items.
Of which there is none.
Seeing there are none, we will move on to new business. And the first item of new business is the public hearing for the special land use for 27701 Southfield, the Event House. In the packet attached is all the information regarding the, bless you, the Event House. So we'll open the public hearing for the special land use for the Event House. If there's anyone here, bless you.
God bless you, yeah.
All right, there's no one here, so we'll close the public hearing for the special land use for the Event House and move on to the special land use and site plan approval. Oh, sorry. How do you do that? Okay. For the site plan approval and special land use for 27701 Southfield Road, the Event House.
Good evening, all. My name is Eric Peach with Giffords Webster. The application before you this evening is 27701 Southfield Road. This is an application within the Village Center District for an assembly, which isn't a permitted by right use within the ordinance. Rather, it's a special land use request. So what the Planning Commission is here tonight for is approval or consideration of the proposed site plan. And if approved, would be forwarded on to the City Council for consideration of the special land use. The packet that you've received, the list of special land use conditions or standards in the ordinance are at the end of the review letter. But again, the Planning Commission is to consider the proposed site plan tonight. So the site is existing right across the street here where the FedEx location is, the retail location for FedEx. There's an existing 5,000 square foot available tenant space right next door in the same building. Everything is existing, yet the applicant was required to provide an updated site plan / survey, which they did, in order to verify and confirm that the existing conditions are what they are. And as I said, the tenant space is 5,000 square feet. So based on occupancy of the assembly, the parking requirements for that use would be 50 parking spaces. So we found that the existing site has 85 parking spaces. And in addition to the FedEx facility, which requires 25, the site as it exists today with the two uses, assuming the assembly hall would be approved, would have 10 extra spaces on site. So the ordinance also says that a loading space is also required. So given that the space is limited, existing, the applicant has proposed that the loading space would be in a location on the site plan. If you have reference to that, you'll see it on the upper left-hand corner of the site plan. It's taking up 3 existing parking spaces. So that would reduce the additional spaces on site from 10 to 7. So the site is overparked by 7 spaces, or would be overparked by 7 spaces. So in short, the parking requirements would be met. Just for reference, also, the loading space is 10 feet by 40 feet, which is should be dimensioned on the site plan. All other of the ordinance standards are met. Given that this is an existing site, there is no additional square footage being proposed. All work would be, all improvements would be on the interior of the building. So given that all of the improvements are interior to the building, there's no landscape requirements, which would be if they're adding square footage or required to add additional parking, landscaping would be required. However, at the April ZBA meeting, when the facility was approved for extended hours, there was some concern from neighboring residents regarding the length of the assembly use into the evening, as well as the type of use. So given that this is a special land use application, the ZBA did approve the extended hours from closing time, which the ordinance allows to be 11 p.m., to approved to be extended to midnight. So the point being that landscaping is not required. There are a line of hedges and shrubs, small trees on the El Dorado west side of the site that do not extend the whole entire length, and so the Planning Commission may consider additional screening, extending those shrubs, hedges, along the remainder of El Dorado to address any screening concerns from the adjacent residents on the opposite side of El Dorado Drive. Also, there is an existing dumpster enclosure with dumpster on the back side of the building. It was found that the height of the wall or the enclosure is actually 1 foot less than what the ordinance requires. So given that this is an existing condition, just maybe more reason for the Planning Commission to consider additional screening, given that the appearance of the dumpster sticks out roughly a foot from the existing enclosure, since it's 1 foot shorter than it's supposed to be by ordinance requirement. So again, the Planning Commission is here to consider the site plan proposal, which is for an existing site to have a change of use for an assembly use. If the Planning Commission is to consider approval tonight, the application will go before the City Council for special land use consideration in the future. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, that concludes my presentation.
And we do have the applicant and a representative of the property owner here to answer any additional questions that Eric and I may not be able to.
Any questions? No questions? No questions?
I saw at the bottom that no liquor license was being asked for at the, at the time. So if people wanted to have booze there, would they have to have a special use permit, and how would that be handled?
Well, from a city's perspective, there would be a process in place for us to have a liquor license established at that location. So we would not be issuing that through the city. That would have to be issued through
Right.
the Liquor Control Commission. Do you, or would you like to come and answer that? Come on up and answer that here.
I can speak louder, yes.
Or why don't you
No, come on over to the mic.
Microphone is being recorded. And I'll introduce myself also. Hi, Commissioners. Thanks for having us. I'm Rob Crockmull. I'm with the Cernow Company, 320 Martin Street in Birmingham. We are the applicant for this special land use permit. And we're really excited to bring something new and exciting to the city that's going to be great for the residents in the surrounding area. So thanks for having us. It is a great question about if there is liquor involved or beer or wine. And, feel free to add on to it, but I do believe that there are bartending services that you bring in that have those licenses, and they are insured to provide those services. So it's not something that we're seeking ourselves for the site.
So,
Yeah.
hi, I'm Melissa Thomas. I am the owner of the Event House and current director of events at Eastern Market as well. So I plan to do our liquor the same way as we do at Eastern Market. There's no liquor license required for, say, a wedding, right? There's no purchase of alcohol. When there is a purchase of alcohol, then they have to apply for a small nonprofit one-day liquor license through the MLCC. So it's a pretty, I apply for them all the time. You get 12 a year when you're a nonprofit. So that would allow any corporate event to be able to have a bar on site and actually sell tickets. But for our regular use of a reception, a wedding, a baby shower, or something like that, you would not need a liquor license because there will be no money exchanging hands. And again, they do have the mobile bars, and we do have a bartender
So they
that
just
we.
be bringing in their own vendor?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, and we do have bartender services that we offer on our preferred vendor list that
Sure.
have been vetted by us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will say I am a fan of event spaces, but I am reluctant when they're in small communities. One of my concerns is, I know it appears you have enough parking spaces, but who will manage the gathering like after the event's over, especially weekend parties? Because if I'm living right there,
Right, right.
I want to make sure everyone is gone.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we've thought about this in depth because, we are the owners of the site and we are the managers of the site also, and I don't want those phone calls either. It's going to be made very clear to the guests when the event is over and that they are to head to their cars and they're not allowed to be able to stay on site. They do need to leave the premises.
Who's going to manage
And
that?
there's
Are you
also-
depending on city,
yes,
police, or
No,
staff?
we do have our own independent security
Okay.
as well. Again, same team that I use at Eastern Market, we'll use at this event space as well. So they'll be managing the parking lots
For
for
every
those.
event?
Yes, for those evening events.
Great, okay, good.
And hoping to do pop-up events and things like that during the day. It's not just evening events.
Right.
The reason that we're so excited to work with both Melissa and Cindy is that they're looking to have events, really 7 days a week, and bringing more folks to be able to experience Lathrup Village and all the great things that we have going on in the city.
And that's
Yeah.
good, and that's why I love it, but I'm just always concerned about noise pollution
Yep.
and congregating in smaller areas.
So we'll get a lot of spillover as well on corporate events. We're a market, so we can't have events on the weekend, so I spend a lot of time sending people to other places. So, so we are looking to continue that and have more business, corporate events, small spaces, because a lot of people are not in their real estate anymore. So they still need places to gather and have their breakout sessions and things of that nature. So we're hoping to be 7 days a week for sure.
With regard to the closing time, can you give us a little window into the, sort of a timeline of a typical event on a weeknight and a weekend night, and how things shut down and how you alert people, and what will the state of the site be at a given time, say 11 o'clock, 11:30, midnight?
That's a great question. So our hours will be extended only on Friday and Saturday. So through the week, it'll be the same Lathrup Village standard of 11 p.m. to be out of the space. Typical events, once the bar closes at 10, 10:30, people start to kind of leave anyway, the lights come on, and then at that point, you kind of have the breakdown happening where people are kind of loading out at that point. So.
And that's happening really inside the space.
Right.
So everything's contained inside.
So is the idea, or is the, I mean, will you be cleared and your staff and the guests, will they be cleared by midnight on a
The-
Friday and Saturday?
The guests will be gone by midnight. There may
The
still be.
business will be closed.
Yes, it's close to, to business hours. All the guests will be off-site, so you may have us, right, cleaning up and, packing up and things of that nature. So it'll be just kind of any load-out happening after that.
Okay.
But the actual event, guests are off-site by midnight.
And do you anticipate any deliveries or takeaways between midnight and 7 in the morning?
No, so again, I want to pattern kind of what I do at Easter Market. It's a hard out at midnight. So you have to stop your event depending on how elaborate the setup is, right? So they may even have to come back the next day to retrieve any items,
Okay.
that needed more extensive for load out.
Okay.
Any more questions? I have a question. It's really more for, I'm gonna start with Giffords. My understanding based on the write-up is that the dumpster enclosure is non-conforming.
Correct.
That's correct?
Correct.
So part of the special land use, we would have to make the dumpster enclosure conforming, or we'd have to say it was existing non-conforming and agree with that? I'm asking, I'm trying to get clarification.
Yeah, I was confused on that too, whether or not it's legally non-conforming or we have to bring it into conformance now.
Well, I guess I need to know, Sam probably knows, when was that the last time that dumpster enclosure's been updated?
I believe 2013,
At least.
Because
at least.
the standards in this ordinance have been consistent probably since at least 2009. We'd have to verify that.
Well, my,
It's not conforming at all, I'm sorry.
it's a foot short.
Got it.
And there's no gates
And, yeah,
on
Well,
those.
we are installing gates.
I thought that
We've
was
been
the
talking
case.
with the ordinance officer on that.
I mean, based on the engineering, it's still a foot short. So my question is, are we gonna bring it up the extra foot, or will we try to compromise and adhere to what the residents are asking and just put some bushes up?
We also do intend to get a shorter dumpster so that you cannot see the top of the dumpster in the enclosure.
So the dumpster would be shorter, but the wall will still be a foot short, right?
Yep. But
So it's still a foot
But you
short.
won't see the, yeah, you won't see
but
the
if you look at the
Visibility
back,
of the dumpster.
it sort of looks like the building, it's
I
brick.
but it's still non-conforming.
Right.
Okay. My question was, is it non-conforming? And the answer is, it's still
Yes.
non-conforming. I don't care if the dumpster's a foot tall, the wall's still
Right.
non-conforming.
yeah.
Okay. And since there's already been concerns from the residents right behind the building, my question is still the same. Why not just put some gates on the dumpster and put some bushes up so everybody's happy? Is it possible to do that? Then that way, we don't have to worry about the extra foot. The people across the street from you would be happy, and it would actually look like it's consistent from one building to the next, as opposed to having it look like somebody cut the old bushes out and put grass in anyway.
I guess I'm not aware of the neighbors saying anything about,
He just said at the ZBA meeting, the neighbors were talking about the fact that they were concerned.
Well, and at this meeting, it was the,
No, I said when he gave his
About the-
report, he
oh,
mentioned it.
yeah.
I don't think it was, the gathering
Well, But my point is that if they're concerned about what's going over there, Once you put the bushes up, then they can't see it. I mean, I was trying to find a way to say, the neighbors will be happy because they can't see. We're not gonna worry about the foot, and it's just some bushes. I guess the question is, would that be acceptable to everybody? It's just bushes. But that's a question.
I mean, I personally think that that would be a great solution, right? To add, fill in that gap, have the screening, right? For the additional landscape screening, it will make a difference for those residents.
And then you don't need to change the dumpster, you just need the gate. The dumpster won't be seen
Got it.
anymore.
I guess the question is the issue that you can see the top of the dumpster?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I think one, you're trying to adhere to a bunch of different constituents. The neighbors are trying to be screening from the event itself. So they're concerned about traffic and people moving around. The other-
Lights.
Just I mean, if I'm across the street, cars come, I got lights, I got car, I got people. But on the other side of the street, we got a non-conforming dumpster and a non-conforming wall. We got a non-conforming wall. So the question is if the dumpster wall stays the same and the dumpster stays the same, except for the gate, you got neighbors over here, the only thing they're asking is, can we get some bushes? And everybody would be happy. I guess the question is that difficult?
But
I don't know.
I'm going to add just a little bit too. Typically, we have that 6-foot screen wall between zoning districts, right? The village center is a little different in that it is an octagon, right? And so those residents, if we were a block and a half up, those residents would also have that 6-foot masonry wall between the commercial space and their backyard. And so this wouldn't really, the screening issue and being able to see into the site wouldn't necessarily be as impactful. Being that they're in the village center and they're technically still within that zoning district, there's not that same screening requirement. So, just to your point, that would help make for good neighbors.
That's my question. We're not trying to put up a brick wall, not trying to add an extra foot of brick, just saying, just some bushes and mulch.
So there's a really long, am I allowed to talk or no?
Yes,
You
come
can
on
come up
up.
here, Sam.
Come on up, Sam.
Sorry, I'm late. So, right now, there's a large gap, and putting up bushes is, mediocre, is not a big of a deal as it seems. It's, to fill that large of a gap, I don't know, it's like 100 feet or something like that would be thousands of dollars. So what if we added bushes that just at least went past the dumpster enclosure? So, because right now, they don't quite go past the dumpster enclosure, and I think that's part of the issue. And I think we still should make the dumpster shorter so that it's not peeking over the wall. The wall kind of blends in with the building. But I think, what might make sense is to extend that bushes so that at least it's not exposing the dumpster. Because if that's what the issue is, below the dumpster, it's just parking lot. And so,
Well, I just want to make sure I'm following. If it's 100 feet and the dumpster extends 25 feet in, you want to put 25 feet worth of arborvitae
It's not
to
even-
match the other ones.
right.
I'm just using that as an example.
yeah, whatever, there's a row of landscaping now that starts to go, and then it gets cut off, and then
Yeah.
there's a little bit then the dumpster's sticking out. So what I'm saying is, why don't we just go past the dumpster, instead of having to spend an exorbitant amount of money covering an area that doesn't seem to be like it's an issue, if that's something that we could propose.
I mean, I'm not saying.
If the sound of doing bushes is not, it sounds ridiculous, like, why would you agree? But again, each bush, is a few $100.
I bought 100 arborvitaes that are 12 feet tall. I know exactly how much arborvitaes cost. So I'm the wrong person. Because I have arborvitaes going around my house. My question is that if you want to put them 25 feet and it's going to screen off the dumpster, then why go through the cost of replacing the dumpster and doing anything? You're not going to see it anymore. And just have it look really like you didn't complete the job because you're gonna have 75 feet of this open hole again. But if that's the way the building owner wants to look like, it's not a complete job, that's up to the rest of the commission. It just looks bad.
Do you know what the cost, do you know?
I know exactly what you're describing. Put arborvitae up to where you don't see the dumpster anymore. But that means at some point, that remaining 75 feet to the next arborvitae is still a hole, like it is now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it just looks like you went out there and dug up 25 feet, put in arborvitae, and then you had 75 feet that still looked like you just stopped and just finished the job. That's just what it will look like.
So if you have the aerial, if you're looking at that, I don't know if you have that, there's no house right behind, like where FedEx is. There is a house behind where, yeah, there is a house behind where Event House is going to be and where the dumpster is located. So extending the arborvitae's, a little bit to screen the dumpster, the backside of the dumpster, which is, again, a brick wall, I think would look really nice. And then keeping it open actually works well. A lot of the residents do walk from the neighborhood and cross over there to go to the various businesses that are there. And if you had a whole row of arborvitae's, it blocks that. What we're hoping to do is make this kind of a part of the community so that you feel comfortable walking up into the village center shopping area. I don't know if it's easy to see just looking at the aerial, though.
Well, I walk my dog over there, so.
Perfect, yeah.
But you can't cross the street. There's no walkway, you gotta walk over the arborvitae hill anyway. So unless you're now gonna say you're gonna cut a path so I can actually do what you just said.
Well, there's just grass right there.
It's just
So-
grass, exactly.
Yeah.
So now I'm still crossing the street without a walkway, walking over grass in the back of a parking lot behind a building, just to walk through a parking lot to get there. I hear you, but in practicality, it just doesn't sound like something that I wanted to do with my dog, because we almost got hit. So my question is, if you only want to put bushes between to cover the dumpster, why not just put bushes to cover the first house that you're trying to avoid then?
Just so to go past the first house?
Just
I don't have the,
as opposed to
I'm
just the
looking at
dumpster.
it, can I,
I'm looking at the picture.
yeah, okay, I'm looking at it too, to just go back to the first house. Cause it's close, I mean, the dumpster and the first house are very close to one another.
At the end of the drive.
I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically at the end of the driveway of the first house, so I'm saying we just extend it by,
Here.
It's just not.
See, they just want to go to here. If mine was just a question, if you guys want to approve it, that's fine, it just looks bad.
So like,
Let's go
See,
to the guy that
just like
complained
adding
about
a little bit more.
what he saw in the parking lot.
And then leaving that.
I mean,
Yeah,
Is
I
that
mean,
worth
he's-
bringing up, or
I
is
don't
that?
know what the guy saw in the parking lot, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was, the gentleman was complaining about things that he had seen in the parking lot.
Oh,
Which,
Yeah.
well, that's
At
a
the-
different issue,
Right.
and I think that the more time that goes by where you have a vacant building,
Yeah.
the more likely it is that people are gonna be doing things there that shouldn't be, whereas having an operating business with lights on are gonna probably deter people from, just going to a vacant
Hanging out.
parking lot. So, I just think that, I understand, and we've also, I'm not trying to, shift the responsibility, but we've given the neighbors our cards, we've given them our cell phone numbers, and we haven't received a single call from them. So, we're here, we all live in the local area, like, we'll respond immediately, we'll call the police, like, I mean, we've had a vacant, luckily, we're close to the police station, but even with the school that's been vacant, we've had maybe one case of some teenagers coming in and, eating candy and doing some stuff, but like, we keep a really good eye on our properties. So I hear the concern with people doing things that are inappropriate in the parking lot. And we have done, if there's anything else that we should be doing to, avoid that, especially with a new tenant coming in. I mean, that's the last thing that I would want as a landlord, is having a tenant coming in and being worried that there's gonna be people that are in there doing things that might be unlawful or affect their business. So we're willing and able to do whatever we can to step up, and work with the city. This whole dumpster thing, I think, is a separate issue. I mean, looking at it, like, there's, even, I'm not trying to, open a can of worms here, but there's a gap with the other building too. And so it's like,
we hadn't got there yet.
well, I'm just saying, like, it might make more sense for me to just bring the wall of the dumpster up by a foot. because that would probably be much less costly than having to do 200 feet of bushes. And we just can't, I mean, that, it's expensive,
Everything's expensive,
of course.
so.
So what, you
But I
know,
do like the idea of screening that dumpster a little bit more, extending it over. So if there is a resident that's right behind, then at least that softens a dumpster. But going all the way over, you know, I think with the neighbors' concerns of things happening in the back of a center after hours, I think keeping that open so that maybe the police can keep an eye on things as they're driving around may also be helpful, instead of making it even more secluded and this
I-
little space back there.
I think
so.
we beat it,
Yeah.
we've mentioned it, like, I
Okay.
think what we'd be willing to do is extend the bushes.
I'm pleased by the opportunity of having something that is open to the, you know, backside of the community, not just Southfield Road, so that it does feel, you know, you're more likely to walk there with lights on, in my opinion. And I think having it open, you know, I do walk there as well in the morning, very early morning. And having it open makes me feel more safe. I see the police officers sitting on the corner there in the parking lot, and I think having visibility is important.
I guess the question would be, Susie,
Yes.
how do we get to a point of what the actual footage will be of how far we would go, so that we would all have a clear understanding and not just hypothetically enough to cover the dumpster, so that we're all on the same page? If we're saying it's 100 feet, are we gonna go 25 feet? Are we gonna go 30 feet? So we can actually have a clear understanding of that. So that you don't come back and say the dumpster's only 5 feet.
That's what I have too, is the scale to draw.
I have the next
I mean,
section over
it's-
for you.
so far, it seems everybody seems to be a little on.
Here's the
on-
next section, too.
Everybody's on
Thank
on
you.
So
page.
there's the end of the arborvitae. Here's dumpster. So if you picked up, we know each parking space is
They're 10 feet.
Basically right there.
Well, I guess the question is that same 10 feet, we
There's
have the same 10
15.
feet that we'd all have to agree on.
So there's 25.
Sorry, say.
So
And
You said
I think
it's
it's
10
probably like
feet, and we'd
25
all have to
additional
agree
feet.
that it would be 10
Gets you
feet.
past the end.
I'm trying to measure it
No,
out.
that's why I'm asking some, you know, I'm asking them to actually find out what that would be.
one,
You could make it as a condition.
Right. Okay.
I mean, about 30 feet is going to get you to 3 parking spaces that covers,
Right, but
that goes through, that 30, approximately 30 feet will get you to the end of that
Sorry.
resident to the west. It will get them, that will screen that resident.
Basically, the edge of the guy's driveway is sort of the
Right, but I'm
the
saying to the
southern
edge
edge
of
of
that
the-
property, there's about 30 feet. When you, I mean, there's like a little traffic island there,
Yeah.
there's a couple parking, there's a single parking
can see- I can-
stall, plus a handicap with the striping, so you're looking at about 30 feet.
No.
No,
Or you're not.
I'm looking specifically from here
That would
to
put
here.
30 puts it here, yeah.
It's about 30 feet. It's about 30 feet.
So we can do it as a condition. Okey dokey.
And then, so is the concern then, would you want the applicant to then bring the dumpster enclosure into conformity with the height requirements of 6 feet? I mean, they're already working to get the
The gate,
gates installed, which is good. I mean, that's another item for you to consider.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I mean, you said you were gonna replace the dumpster anyways, right? Yeah, so if it's a lower dumpster, the dumpster's not gonna be visible from the parking lot, so that seems to,
so lowering the dumpster and extend it out roughly 30 feet.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm good with
I'm just, I'm having, you know, before I agree to that, you're saying it's about 5 arborvitaes. I'd like to verify that measurement, because if this thing ends up being, you know, 20 arborvitaes, then I'm not comfortable agreeing to it. Because I'm looking at a Google aerial right now where the arborvitaes go right up to basically the edge of the driveway / the dumpster. So I'm wondering if we can just have it so that it at least goes past the dumpster, you know,
I-
like a foot past. maybe a foot
My
past.
recommendation, Sam, is that they stick to the 30 feet. I think that's pretty reasonable, given that, as we've said, I mean, that whole space is 1,
Looks like it's about 100 feet.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're looking at probably 120 feet of open green space here. I think saying 30 feet is pretty reasonable.
Okay. Okay. Totally.
30 feet's good.
Okay.
Well, I'm zoomed way out, so to me, a couple of inches.
That should be one bush then, right? I mean,
Just get one really big arborvitae.
You can just draw one. Any other questions?
I had one more. For you, I'm curious, can only one event be held at the time or multiple events? Okay. One event. Okay. Thank you.
All right, then I'll make a motion to approve the site plan for 27701 Southfield Road with the condition of placing an additional 30 feet of arborvitae and lowering the dumpster by a foot.
Do we have
So
to
that
say
it's not visible.
Is it
Or-
everybody that you're gonna use? Or any kind
They're
of-
consistent to what they
Yeah,
have.
bush is consistent with the existing bush.
I second.
It's been moved and second to approve the site plan with the condition of the smaller dumpster below the wall, dumpster wall, and approximately 30 feet of a screening that matches the existing bushes that are there. All those in favor?
aye.
All those opposed?
And then I'll make a motion to recommend the special land use for 27701 Southfield Road, Event House, to City Council.
Second?
It's moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? No, motion carries. I wasn't sure what the FedEx plan was. It's the FedEx floor plan, the anecdote FedEx plan?
Oh, that was,
Annotated.
Annotated, sorry.
I think I
Annotated.
grabbed the wrong,
It was, I was
I
like,
think I
I'm not sure.
grabbed one of there was the last page.
I just
I
wasn't
think
sure.
that was erroneously placed
Not a
in
problem.
there. I was kind of scrambling on Friday.
That's okay.
So,
I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
nope, you are good on that one. You're good on that one.
Then we'll move on to other matters for discussion.
Thanks so much for working with us, guys.
You're welcome.
Excited about it.
Yeah, thanks for bringing the business in.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
We welcome the event house.
Yeah.
You have to have an open house once you get all together so we can see.
Yeah.
It's like 100
Target
people,
open day.
September 1st.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, we
Hun-
still got some interior stuff to do.
Okay.
100 people or so, what's the max capacity?
One right now, 150.
150.
What they're
Okay.
targeting.
Following the agenda, do we have any other items under general communication?
You're welcome. I just wanted to point out, Oakland County has these virtual, kind of like lunch and learns, about an hour long. I mean, this is not happening during lunch, but sometimes they mix it up, virtual, in-person, learning opportunities. So the one coming up on June 14th is for accessory dwelling units, as they say in the flyer, not just for Granny. I thought you might all be interested. This is a free event. I'm registered, and I made this guy register too. Given that we've been talking about some additional training for the Planning Commission, I thought, and we've also discussed several months ago about how we would like to start maybe exploring housing and kind of what's out there, what might work for us. I think this would be a good opportunity for those of you that may be able to join us. It's about an hour long. Should be pretty informative. So if you can, like I said, please register. Let me know if you're gonna be there. I mean, I'm still gonna stalk the attendee Zoom list anyways to check you there. But and then speaking of training, I did talk to Jill. I told her to put us in ink for June 20th for training to get to get us a 101. So, so expect that coming up. And then I gave you the latest edition of the road report from the Road Commission. So there's some good nighttime reading for you. But speaking of roads, I just want you all to know that we are really kicking butt on our paving projects. We are approximately a month ahead of schedule. Should be Group 1 street should be done and doing landscape restoration this week. We will be paving our Group 2 streets, which by the end of this week for their first lift, leveling course will be after Memorial Day. We are also going to be starting prep next week on Group 3. Group 3 streets were originally scheduled to start July 13th. So, yay!
And they're doing a good job.
And they
a
are
really good
doing a
job.
great job. I'm just really pleased with the overall quality of the work, the responsiveness, like all of it. Checkity check check. These guys are doing a really good job. Sidewalk replacement work, final year of that program is going to be starting. We're going to start doing some saw cuts just before the holidays, but really the bulk of the work is going to start June 1st. We're going to start doing that, and hopefully we'll be able to cruise, keep our good momentum going, right, and cruise through that. They will be starting an 11 mile, and you're going to be doing DDA stuff first, since give the other contractors a little bit of breathing room to finish up their projects. Consumers Energy should be out with all of their hard and softscape restoration by the first week of June. So sidewalk replacement is going to start at 11 mile, bounce up to 12, and then work their way on down. So work is continuing, and work is moving fast. So I'm excited. I'm
That's
happy
good.
by it. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know.
Anything else under general communication?
Oh, I guess I should tell you guys, the DDA is having a planting party on June 3rd. If you want to come help plant flower baskets, we are going to be doing our first summer cleanup on June 10th for the Southfield corridor. So meet me back at the pavilion, and we're going to go clean up some road. Bring a friend, bring kids. They like to use the scrabbers. So that's what we've got going on. And Juneteenth is the third Saturday of June, and so we are planning another magnificent event. And that's everything I have for you. I'm going to keep it there.
Well, if there's nothing else for the good of the commission, we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. The meeting is adjourned.